Welcome to our monthly update here in Strasbourg. We've just come out of a busy Ardèche held in my own town city in Derry, and it was absolutely fantastic to have so many Republican activists about the city. The city was buzzing, the town was buzzing, and people just engaged with one another throughout the entire weekend. Now, we left the Ardèche, the four of us, I think, to unpack and pack again and to make ourselves available here to be involved in the debates and the votes in Strasbourg. Today's been quite a busy session, as will it be tomorrow. Matt and I are particularly concerned, and we're going to be raising something that came out last week in relation to roaming charges, where we had the European Council overturning the vote that was made in this Parliament last year, which was to abolish roaming charges by the end of 2015. Now, people talk and complain, and rightly so, about the positions that are taken in Europe, but let's be clear about this. This was the Fine Gael and Labour minister in the Council, as well as their counterparts in the Tory government in Britain, who agreed to such a decision to postpone that for another 3 years, so that big fat companies would get big fat profits. And the consequence of that would be that the people living adjacent to the border corridor are going to have to pay extortionate rates, and that is something that the four of us Irish MEPs are furious about, and we intend to raise that further. In addition to that, I'm going to be leaving here tomorrow to make my way to Argentina. I'm involved in an international conference where Chomsky and Buff will, among many others from Mexico and elsewhere, will be in attendance. And basically the conference for our part is going to be looking at the new left in Europe. And given that not just our Sinn Féin conference, but the entire focus has been on not just Syriza, but looking to the future at Podemos and then Sinn Féin, then we can see that the direction that we are going is one of taking power, but taking it with progressive forces of the left. So it's good that our forces in Sinn Féin and the Republican struggle will be heard in Argentina. So I'm going to hand you over to Liadh, who's going to give you a rundown of what she's been doing.
Martina. Well, to Michelle and Dara Shachtan and Saltanga, Morris Oldiv, Galorg of Mohanchin, Thomas Saltanga, Lishna Institute in Sohogas, Lishna Real to Savada. This is my second week of the Irish language strike, which is within the institutions here, and as a protest against the government at home for not lifting the derogation on the Irish language. It could create 188 new jobs when this derogation is lifted, and those of you who want to join me on this Saltanga, just go to #Saltanga and sign the petition Le Vordal. As well as that, I had an EGF, which is the European Globalisation Fund report, passed today here in the plenary. And again, this is about reducing the threshold of the amount of workers that can apply for this funding to help them upskill in their training. Agus Martina Shin, I'm still working on the European Investment Strategy Fund, which is the Juncker plan, and trying to put in amendments to ensure that the public investment is not at the cost of the public taxpayer, because it's all about private investment basically. So we have to ensure that public investment is safeguarded, and so I'm working on amendments and trying to broaden up the scope as well, so that we're not just concentrating on private investment, that we can perhaps bring in cooperations and social enterprises and so on. So Galore Oberledinov, Agus Amunan Obershin Gadian. I'd also like to thank all my comrades in Derry for a wonderful Ardèche. She did a great job of it. Hopefully next year we'll have it in Killarney, closer to home.
Matt.
Hello folks, good to be back in Strasbourg. I say in jest, this week the mask slipped in terms of the plans of the European Commission and those within the European elites to create a military style force to match anything else in the world. Jean-Claude Juncker announced that it was his ambition to see a European army evolve over the next number of years. Now, Sinn Féin have been warning about this prospect for quite a number of years and the potential implications it would have for Irish sovereignty and Irish neutrality. We were told during the Lisbon Treaty, for example, that we were scaremongering. All we can say and assure people at home is that we as the Sinn Féin team here in Europe will do everything in our power to oppose any formation of a European-wide army and protect Irish neutrality at all costs. We would like to say that we have confidence that our government would do the same. Unfortunately, we don't. On a positive note, and from a personal point of view, I've been working for the past number of years on the past number of months rather on an interchange fee dossier over here, which will mean that the costs that can be applied to retailers by credit card companies will be reduced, and that's both on a domestic and a cross-border basis, and that will have big implications for quite a number of retailers, for business organisations and also consumers across the European Union, but particularly in border counties of Ireland. And that's something that has been adopted by the European Parliament this week, and that's something that we're very proud of, and we'll be now pressing to ensure that that cost savings is passed on to consumers and to retailers as quickly as possible.
Well, this week I spoke at a National Women's Council event called Better Boards, which is about increasing the gender equality on boards of the largest companies, listed companies, and I took part in that event with Hala Thomasdottir, who's ranked in the top 170 most influential women in the world. And what we were all saying at the conference was, if you won't bring women in onto the board because it's the right thing to do, then you should be doing it, because all of the evidence shows that it's better for the bottom line. So last night I used the opportunity in the House to raise the issue around social clauses with public procurement contracts, and that they should be gender proofed so that gender equality can be brought in through procurement, and also that the government under the directives do not have to open up to privatisation any services that they want to control. So in April 2016 the Irish government will be bringing their version of the public procurement process to the National Parliament, and what I'm saying is there's good practice out there across Europe, and that the Irish government should be adopting that good practice. I also spoke on the fact that a report that leaked from the European Commission showed that there was recommendations around harmful substances that should be banned at an EU level, but of course, unsurprisingly, the European Commission decided to bury that report and are trying to kick the ball down the road. And these are chemical substances that you are using every day in your products, in your cosmetics, in your toiletries, in pesticides, and they have been linked with very hard scientific evidence that they are linked to autism in children, to hormonal cancers like breast cancer, testicular cancer, and around intellectual disabilities. So I raised that and challenged the Commission to bring forward that report.
Next week, Lynn is off to Washington. I am off to Palestine, and our other two comrades here is going to be holding up the fort in Ireland and in Brussels. So until we see you in April, or talk to you again in April, slán go fóill.